Hello FPL managers, welcome back to the FPL Optimized podcast. This is episode number 120. Today I'm alone as Baz couldn't make it. Here is a photo from Baz, but with another deadline on Saturday again, we still wanted to cover the latest data in a short episode for you. This is the podcast in which we combine analytics with the good old eye test, data or grass, or data and grass. That's the question. With GW28 in front of us, I will cover our usual content today, and I will start with the double and blank game week discussion. So like we did in previous episodes, I borrowed these visuals from Johnny Curry. It is FPL Spaceman on Twitter and Johnny C on Blue Sky. So you can also check his profile to get a high definition version of these visuals, but I will briefly talk over these for people who are listening. We have 4 blanks in game week 29, and now in game week 32 we have 2 teams doubling. It is Crystal Palace and Newcastle United. So game week 33 is still the biggest double, it seems like, with expected number of fixtures is around 12.36. And another double game week that might be big is game week 36 with 11.48 number of fixtures. 33 is still the biggest double game week, it looks like, with at least what we know right now, but I think the number decreased a little bit, and there is now also some chance of game week 35 being a double too. Like it is now a little bit higher, and average number of fixtures is 10.32. Well, obviously 10 is the average, the number of fixtures in a single game week. So we have very slight chance of game week 35 being a double. With 12% for Brentford and Nottingham Forest doubling that game week. And so if we look at the predicted fixture distributions for game week 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37, we see that, again, in game week 33, the number of average doubles is around 2.3, and in game week 34, which will be the biggest blank, average number of blanks is 2.97, and game week 36 average number of doubles is 1.40, but again it could be as many as like 4 doubles in game week 36, and same with the game week 33. So if you check the distribution, you might get a better sense of where the doubles and blanks will be. And with this, let me cover the fixture ticker. So if you look at the team projected points average for the next 6 game weeks, we see Liverpool at the top. They have pretty good fixtures. I mean, they are playing against Southampton this game week in game week 28. And in game week 30, they are playing against Everton with offense projected point is 5.4, and for defense it is 4.8, so pretty decent fixture. Then they play against Fulham. Their numbers are slightly lower than like the Everton game, but still pretty nice. And they have 2 more favorable fixtures at the end of the horizon. In game week 32, they play against West Ham, and they play against Leicester at away in 33. So despite the blank in game week 29, their projections look pretty solid. In the second place, we have Arsenal. So their favorable fixtures come towards the end of this horizon because they play against Manchester United and Chelsea in the next 2 game weeks, but then they have Fulham in 30, and in game week 32 we have Brentford, and in game week 33 they have the Ipswich game. So in the third place we have Manchester City. They play against Nottingham Forest, which is not marked as a favorable fixture actually. Their projected points are not that bad, but it is not as favorable as, say, Leicester game in game week 30 and also Everton in 33. So I should also mention that some of these projected points are already including projected doubles and blanks. So it might be a little bit hard to read because we are only putting the fixture that they are scheduled to play, but not the potential double or potential blank. But yeah, these 3 teams are at the top, and I will go over the rest of it now. We have Chelsea at the 4th place, Bournemouth at the 5th place, and then comes Brighton, Tottenham, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, and Wolves. And note about Newcastle and Crystal Palace, they are doubling in game week 32, but they are blanking in game week 29. So just to keep in mind. Let me continue with the player projections. So we received a comment on some of these visuals being too busy or sometimes hard to read. So I decided to simplify this a little bit, but let me know what you feel about this new version. So, and for each position, I will only say the names of the players who are projected to get the top projected points, and also as we have been doing, I will also say what's the most, the best players in terms of total points divided by the price. So which players bring you the most value. So in goalkeeper category, we have Raya, Ederson, and Kepa as the top 3 goalkeepers. For the next 6 game weeks, Raya is projected to get 25 points, Ederson is at 22.5, and Kepa is at 22. But if we look at the value, which is projected points total divided by the price, the best goalkeeper is actually Sa from Wolves, even though he's projected to get 21 points because he is pretty cheap compared to the alternatives. He is the best value in the game. And then we have Kepa in the 2nd place and Verbruggen at the 3rd place in terms of the value. In terms of defenders, we have Gabriel at the top. He is projected to get 27.1 points for the next 6 game weeks. And then we have Saliba at 25.1 and Alexander-Arnold at 24.9. Again, if you look at the value, we see Ait-Nouri as the best defender. He's projected to get 20.6. But again, he's so cheap compared to the other alternative I just named. At 4.7 million right now, and so he's the top value player. And then we have Munoz in the 2nd place, who is projected to get a little bit higher. It is at 21.6 projected points, but he's also a little bit more expensive at 5 million. He's the 2nd best value defender in the game now. And finally, in the 3rd place, we have Gabriel, which is again the top projected points option, but despite the high price tag, he's still a great value. Among midfielders, we have Salah at the top with 41.8 projected points over next 6 game weeks, and then in the 2nd rank we have Palmer with 40.1. So they are very close to each other, but Palmer's projections are more around this 40.1 value. So most of the models agree. But for Salah, there is some disagreement. Like some models project him to get as much as 47 points. And some models think he will get even less than 40 projected points, like less than Palmer. So Palmer's projected points from this sense is a little bit more agreed across models. But yeah, for Salah, there's less agreement. The part of the puzzle here is that we don't know how much playtime Salah will get. So expected minutes for Salah is the biggest question mark. But yeah, let me continue. In the 3rd place, we have Mbeumo with 29.4 projected points. So there's a big drop from Salah and Palmer to Mbeumo here. But if we look at the value, we see Semenyo as the best option. He's projected to get 27.1. But his price is currently at 5.7 million, which makes him the best value midfielder in the game right now. In the 2nd place, we have Enzo of Chelsea with his price is quite actually low at 4.7. He's projected to get 21.9 points for the next 6 game weeks, makes him the 2nd best value midfielder. And at the 3rd place, we have Kluivert from Bournemouth with 28.3 projected points. And with 6.1 million price tag, he's the 3rd best value midfielder. And in forwards, we have Haaland, as usual, with 40.5 projected points over next 6 game weeks. But again, he's 14.7 million, so in terms of value, he's quite low. We have Isaac in the second place with 34.8 projected points, and finally Wood at the third place with 29.3. In terms of value, again, projected points per price, the best is actually Strand Larsen from Wolves. But yeah, so we have 3 players here whose total projected points divided by price is actually almost the same, very close. So Strand Larsen is the first one, and the second leg we have Raul Jimenez at 22.4 projected points. And finally, at the third place, we have Vardy with 21.6 projected points over next 6 game weeks. The problem here is that, again, there is less agreement from models for these players. I mean, for some models, like they assume Strand Larsen or Raul is projected to get like quite high. It is, I think, closer to 28, 29, even in Raul's case. But yes, some models have them as low as 18 or 19 projected points. So again, so there's a wide range of projections from models, which makes it a little bit tricky to actually rank these players. But for these tables and for these data we show you, we are getting the average of these models to try to minimize the noise. And this is where we are right now. And let me continue with the optimal wildcard team. So the usual caveats apply here. So optimal wildcard team doesn't mean that it is actually the optimal team. It depends on many things, including which chips you are going to use. Like if you are free hitting in 29 or 34, or like wildcarding in 31. So actually wildcarding in 31. Or bench boosting in a certain game week is going to change your wildcard team. So I'm going to go over this wildcard team just to give you an idea which players are somewhat ideal to have and which kind of transfers model is thinking if the wildcard is only chip that it is allowed to play this game week and no other chips for the remaining horizon, but it might give you still an idea. So model loves having 2 goalkeepers in this period, Henderson and Sa. And it rotates them. So part of the reason is Henderson is doubling in game week 32. Even though it's a little bit challenging games, I mean Manchester City and Newcastle, 7.23 is the projected points for him that game week. And Sa has Southampton in game week 29 and Ipswich in 31. So that this combo plays actually pretty well. And Henderson has Ipswich this game week and Southampton in game week 30. So as you see, so there's a nice rotation between these 2 goalkeepers. And in defense, we have Gabriel, Munoz, and Ait Nouri. Again, there's no surprise here because Gabriel is the top projected defender. And we talked about Munoz and Ait Nouri as well. In midfield, we have Semenyo, Mbomo, Palmer, Eze, and Salah. So we might see a shift from Salah to Haaland come game week 29. Even in this case, the model starts with Salah in wildcard but sells him immediately in game week 29 and buys Haaland. So there's again less agreement on this topic too. I will talk about the top captaincy options in a few minutes, and you will see how models kind of differ on this issue. And I think this is a heated debate whether people are going to sell Salah. I think people who are using FPL review are more thinking of like selling him and then finishing the season with Haaland. But yeah, we will see how it plays out. And in forward we have Wissa and Beto, but it has somewhat of a strong bench. So it has Sa as the bench goalkeeper, as I mentioned. We have Guardiol, Raul, and Burn as our bench players. So again, like everyone plays in this team, but there are scheduled transfers. Salah becomes Kluivert in game week 29, and Wissa is sold for Haaland. And I optimize this wildcard team based on my team value, which might be a little bit lower than an average FPL players. Also, I have 3 free transfers, which is kind of affecting how this wildcard team is constructed. And then Mbomo becomes Murphy in game week 30, and Beto becomes Isaac. And the model goes with this team. and then makes transfers in game week 33. Saves Kluivert for Mbomo and Palmer for Bowen. And then in terms of captaincy, it captains Salah this game week, but then captains Haaland in game week 29. Game week 30, again, the same captain, Haaland against Leicester. In game week 31, it captains Palmer. In game week 33, it captains Isak for his double. And then in game week 33, it captains Haaland again against Everton. But what if we look at a wildcard team which is not allowed to make transfers? So because like we are mainly interested in players who are actually either bringing pretty good projections or bringing pretty good value so that we can fit more premium players. So the optimal wildcard team without any transfers is slightly different. We have, again, Henderson and Sa as the rotating goalkeepers. In defense, though, instead of Munoz, we have Saliba. So the defense is Gabriel, Saliba, Aït-Nouri. In midfield, we have Semenyo, Enzo, Palmer, Eze, Salah. And in forward, we have Isak and Wood. Among the bench, we have Sa, as I mentioned, Gvardiol, Vardy, and Mazraoui. So this team actually rotates pretty well, but in game week 29, you have no bench cover because Henderson, Isak, Eze, and Salah, they are all blanking. But yeah, for the rest of the horizon, it looks like a solid team. Like even if you are not scheduled to make any transfers. And in terms of captaincy, it starts with Salah and then captains Wood in game week 29 against Ipswich, and then goes back to Salah for game week 30 against Everton. Also Fulham in game week 31. Isak again is the captain in game week 32 for his double, and then in game week 33 Salah is again the captain against Leicester this time. Let me talk about captaincy a little bit more here. Let me start with game week 28. So if you have been following the discussion on the captaincy, so the question is whether Salah will have enough minutes to become the optimal or the best captaincy choice or not. And so I tried to update all of these values like this morning, so I hope this will stay updated for a little bit longer. But if we look at the ensemble, we see Salah as the top option with 10.13 is his point average against Southampton. And the second best player is actually Palmer against Leicester at home with 8.82. So as you see, if you just go with the ensemble model, Salah is quite clear. But we will look at the details in a second. But let me go and tell you all the other options. We have Nkunku at the third place with 6.18, so pretty significant drop from Palmer. And then we have Alexander-Arnold at the fourth place. Eze is at fifth against Ipswich. We have Haaland at sixth and Mbomo at the seventh place. So in terms of top choice, Fantasy Football Fix, Hub, Scout, and Mikael Tokbaum, they all have Salah as the top option, with like varying degrees of gap between Salah and Palmer. So the only model who has Palmer ahead of Salah is Game FPL Review. But you know, in the analytics circle, obviously FPL Review is more effective. More people follow FPL Review's projections. So now there's kind of like a debate on whether to captain Palmer or Salah. We will see how these values will change closer to deadline, but right now Palmer is ahead the last time I checked. And for the longer horizon, this trend kind of continues, which is a little bit confusing. So I will go with the top two options from the ensemble model for the next 6 game weeks, and then we will talk about like other details. For this game week, we said Salah is the top option with 10.13 projected points and Palmer at 8.82. Game week 29, we have Haaland as the top option with 6.74 and Fernandes at 5.56. In game week 30, we have Haaland as the top option again, 8.28, and Salah is 7.9, pretty close. In game week 31, Salah is the top option with 6.8, and Isak is the second best option with 6.23. Again, there's not much difference. In game week 32, Isak is like clearly the best captain with 11.84 projected points, and Gordon comes second at 8.84. In game week 33, we have Salah at 8.38 and Haaland is at 7.59. So as you see, like if you look at the ensemble, Salah is actually the best option in 3 out of the 6 game weeks, namely game week 28 against Southampton, game week 31 against Fulham, and in game week 33 against Leicester. But if you look at the details, then it's a little bit confusing to a degree. I mean, for game week, we talked about game week 28, but game week 29 is actually clear. Haaland is the best captain in every model. And the second best changes. Some models think Wood is the second best. Some models think Palmer. But most models think Bruno Fernandes has enough projected points that game week. In game week 30, most models think Haaland is the best option. Except Fantasy Football Hub, which has Salah as the top option. And FPL Review has Palmer as the top option that game week. So Salah is not even in the top 2 in FPL Review for that game week. But every other model has Salah either first or second. So in game week 31, we have something similar. Salah is the top option in 3 models, Fix, Hub, Scout. And he is the second highest projected points in Mikael Tokvam's model. And Son is the top option. But Salah is again not in the top 2 in FPL Review, which has Palmer as the top option and Son as the second option. But if you look at the average, Isaac is the second highest in the ensemble. Game week 32 is somewhat, again, clear. Isaac is quite ahead of the second best option in ensemble, and he's the top option in every model. So there is, again, less question. But in game week 33, we have somewhat the same dilemma because Salah is listed as top option in Fix, Hub, and Scout. But he's not in top 2 in FPL Review. Haaland and Watkins are top 2 options from FPL Review for that game week. And Mikael Tokvam has Salah as the second best and Haaland being the first. So if we take the average, Salah is slightly ahead of Haaland for game week 33. So then, yeah, this will kind of test people's trust in the models, I think. So because if you are going with one of these single models, your moves might differ quite a bit from what an average FPL player will do. And I'm sure there will be lots of debates on this, like, oh, did you sell Salah when he's on form? Or like, I can't believe you sold Salah and you got lots of points if it goes the other way around. But yeah, this will be an interesting period to see if people will sell Salah and maybe pivot to Haaland for the rest of the horizon, or maybe they will stay with Salah. And but I'm sure there will be lots of debate on the captaincy in the following game weeks. Well, I will wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed this shorter episode and the data will help you with your decisions for game week 28. Next week, Bas should be back and we should be able to record a normal episode and also give an update to the mini league because that's what Bas usually covers. And you can subscribe to our podcast and so that you can get notified when the next episode is out. You can also follow us on Twitter. For me, it is at Sertalp Bilal, and for Bas, it is at BelfiBB. I'm also on Blue Sky at sertalpbilal.com. And keep in mind that you can find a lot of more data and analytical tools on FPLoptimize.com. And until next time, stay curious and stay analytical. Goodbye.